Well, let's go to Silicon Valley Bank developments because there's more to talk about every single day. By the hour, it feels like there's more to talk about every single day. Let's start, though, actually, Ryan, with yourself. You were on Russell Brand's show yesterday.
I'll tee this up very briefly. We talked about the Department of Justice announcing that it's going to be probing Silicon Valley Bank. The New York Times reported that experts were saying that they're going to be looking at the bonuses that executives in the stock sale, the bonuses that paid out to the executives and the stock sales done by executives. That's great. They should definitely look at that. What I hope and also suspect a little bit that they would also look at would be this text chain, and we'll talk about it a little bit later. A bunch of text chains and Slack groups among these VCs, founders, the Silicon Valley tech world, that very early started saying, hey guys, why don't we all get our money out? Mm-hmm. And so then the question becomes, why were you making these suggestions to this group rather than, if you really had concerns, just pull your money out? Mm-hmm. Like you wouldn't yell, if the theater's really on fire, just get out, mm-hmm. rather than start a stampede. So anyway, so we talked briefly about some of that.
There's a sort of a dialogue being played, potentially. I know you're not Nostradamus or whatever, or some sort of soothsayer, but potentially this is part of a kind of dialogue taking place between the state treasury and the banking system that's letting them know that there are ways of precipitating financial disaster unless there's compliance and favourable legislation and regulation.
Yeah, nice little economy you've got going here. Shame if there was a bank run and a bunch of contagion that just wiped it out. So yeah, so now the New York Times is reporting just now that the FBI, Department of Justice, are going to look into the causes of this meltdown, and the 2018 rollback, the executives who cashed out a bunch of bonuses, like that's all going to get looked at. To me, they ought to actually look at that text chain. You got 200 people, you got 200 phone numbers. Call those folks in. Maybe it was completely innocent. Ask them, why did you tell your closest 200 friends to take their money out of here? Why didn't you just take your own money out? At the same time, Peter Thiel's what's it called, his founder's firm, they did a call on that day where they called money in. Like on that very day, that required then a bunch of their partners, or urged a bunch of their partners to pull money out as well. You say, why'd you do this? Just total coincidence? What did this have anything to do with this? I think these are reasonable questions that investigators ought to be asking, because the other explanations just don't make a lot of sense.
It's extraordinary that you say that. So it's unlikely that the investigation will look into these aspects of the case. What about Biden's public claim, overt, obvious, and plain, that the consequences of a failed capitalist venture are bankruptcy? Like you said, the bankers involved are unlikely to face bankruptcy. You said that should be the first step, and that the consequences of those actions should be felt.
So the question then would be, well, why? Like, why would a bunch of tech bros blow up their own bank? And the speculation that is out there is that it is a shot across the bow at the Fed, mm-hmm. that the entire tech industry that these guys have made so much money off of requires quantitative easing at a global scale to get the free money flowing out to Silicon Valley that runs through Silicon Valley Bank and then runs to all of these different startups. Some of them hit, and some of them don't. But if you're at 4, 5, 6% interest rates, you can't make all of the different bets that you can make. At basically 0% interest rates, the bubble can just go on forever. So the idea would be, how do you make it clear to the Federal Reserve that they need to stop ratcheting up interest rates, that they need to stop tightening monetary policy?
You tank Silicon Valley Bank.
You tank Silicon Valley Bank. So that would be that's the speculation, which speculation.
Ryan literally just did many people are saying.
Many people are saying.
He just created a conspiracy theory.
It's out there. It's out there.
Many people are saying. Well,
it also makes more sense than the alternative, because here's the thing. If you really do feel like, because of the news that came out Wednesday night, that your money is at risk, mm-hmm. you have two things you can do. You can either go to your bank calmly while there's not a bank run and pull your money out of that bank. Like, that would be the rational thing to do if you're trying to protect your wealth. Or you can text 200 of the richest people in the world who all have money at Silicon Valley Bank and encourage them to take their money out. And then you can do a call to other investors to have them pull their money out.
Right.
Like, those are your two options. Which one of those is going to have you more likely to be made whole by the end of the day? And which one of those is more likely to cause a bank run, which then risks your ability to get your money out. And if your real goal is just to get your money out, sowing fear and panic doesn't do that.
I've heard anecdotes about smaller businesses, startups that had, their assets in SVB. I also, though, think there is an alternative, possibly, which is that a lot of these other people basically have been playing with monopoly money for the last 20 years. They have so much money that they're investing in different places and playing around with that their fear of being made whole is not necessarily understandable or comprehensible from the perspective of people who haven't just been playing with millions and billions for a really long time. I don't know. I mean, I think that's it. To the question about why they would be chatting in their signal groups instead of yanking immediately and taking action, maybe it's simply, well, first of all, incompetence. But secondly, it seems possible to me that they just have been playing with this glut of money, like it's Monopoly, like it's those fake gold chocolate coins that you just toss around at a kid's birthday party for so long. It's not as pressing as it would be otherwise. It
could be. And the nice thing about this conspiracy theory is that it can be tested. Like, investigators can literally call these people in, and all of their communication is done by text, by Slack. Let's hope they don't have disappearing messages on Signal. And just say, look, we want to see what you guys talked about Wednesday night and what you guys talked about Thursday morning. Did any of you say, like, hey, you know what, the Fed is out of control. You know what they need? They need to be scared. Like, if you find some messages like that, all right, then you got them. If you don't, then maybe this is just organic idiocy.
Well, we have the New York Times is reporting that the United States is reportedly opening an investigation into the collapse of SVB. There's actually also, I believe, a class action lawsuit that has been filed on Tuesday night. So
by the shareholders.
Right. Yeah. So there's a lot of opportunity for discovery here. There's a lot of opportunity for evidence to emerge, whether they want it to, whether the investors want it to or not. Is there anything particular you expect from the early days of these investigations?
Well, not necessarily from the early days, but what's nice is that when you have powerful entities in a legal fight, then you are more likely to get to the bottom of at least messages. Like the reason we have all those Fox News messages is because Dominion was able to get them.
Right.
Like, so the executives at Silicon Valley Bank are very much motivated to point fingers in other directions. It wasn't us, wasn't our risky business model, wasn't our lobbying Congress in 2018 to roll back rules so that we could operate in a riskier fashion, which we then exploited to blow ourselves up. Like, wasn't us. Wasn't us like extracting our bonuses and selling stock at the end. It was actually these tech bros who prompted a run on our bank. Like that, they're motivated to make that claim. So their attorneys are then going to be motivated to try through the discovery process to get access to some of these messages and to see if there actually is anything that points to. And some of these bros might be dumb enough to have like typed that up. We'll see. You wouldn't think that you'd have Fox anchors saying like
in a group
none
chat.
of this was true. All right, more at 11. But there you go.
Hey guys, ready or not, 2024 is fully upon us now, and Sagar and I have been brainstorming ways that we can really up our game for this critical election.
Yeah, we rely on our premium subs to expand our coverage, to add staff, to upgrade the studio. We just want to give you the best independent coverage of this election, which is possible. So if you can help us out, become a premium subscriber today, breakingpoints.com, or the link is down here in the description video. It really means the world to us, and if you like what we're all about, this is the best possible way to keep us 100% independent, working only for you.